right. Well, good morning again, and thank you all so much for being part of the EASE community. It is really, I think, so supportive for everybody to see each other, but then also for people who are watching later on to be able to go back to it, or maybe only be able to do it that way. The other thing is that there's so many teachers, and so you have such a great variety. And then there's also the outdoor yoga. So don't forget that if you feel comfortable, or I think it's early morning, like 8 a.m. and 7. So definitely wouldn't be doing it outside of 11 a.m. We're going to find our way onto our backs. And I would invite you can be completely flat, or you can put a support under the knees, whatever you generally do. Or I would invite you to take a support underneath of your hips. I just curled up my blanket. It's a little bit softer for staying there a little bit longer. You can always use a block, but I would recommend maybe putting a towel over top, something to make it a little bit softer. But again, if you're not feeling that today, just feel free to come on your backs. Last option is you could also keep the feet on the floor, which we're going to do anyway with the support. And you can take your feet wide towards the outer edges of the mat. Come down slowly on your elbows and then eventually on your back. It's like when we support our hips in supported bridge pose. But using the blanket or the towel or something on top of the block makes it more cushy. Maybe you keep your hands on your belly with your arms to the sides and place your elbows in a place where you can just relax the shoulders. Checking with your chin, make sure you're not creating any wrinkles here and tucking. You just move the head up and down a little bit, rock it side to side. Start to lessen some tension in the neck and the face. You can certainly have the arms out away from the body with the palms facing up as well as an option. And then take wherever you are, take a nice breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Inhale, thinking nourishing breath. And then as you exhale, just completely letting it out through the mouth. Again, in through the nose. One more time, either full extending of your breath out or maybe just a soft sigh. Gently. Start to become aware of your physical body, just checking in, noticing how it feels to be on your back, creating the support either underneath you, around you, maybe being aware of any sounds, sights if you have your eyes open, and then maybe gently close your eyes. And then I'm going to read a little out of this book, which is called A Year of Living Your Yoga. It says, whenever we give our full attention, we are practicing. Yoga is not a small practice. It can become as big as you wish. Today, bring your full attention to whatever it is that you are doing, and you will be living your yoga. Again, whenever we give our full attention, in this case, we are practicing yoga. Yoga is not a small practice. It can become as big as you wish. So maybe bringing some attention to your natural breathing rhythm, letting the breath be fine and delicate. Noticing that soft rush of the breath in the back of the throat. This can be a particularly good place to go if you find yourself wandering into the past or the future. this itself is a very big pose, just this idea of practicing being, non-doing. This practice of coming into stillness. Acknowledging that you're letting the yoga meet you where you are. It could be more blissful today than it was yesterday, or it could be more difficult. Find that stillness. So just be where you are today. And then gently, if you have the arms to the sides, bring your hands to the belly, maybe one right underneath the other, even one below the belly button and a little higher above the belly button. And then notice as you breathe in, the movement of the breath up towards the palms. No need to force it, just feel it. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. We'll give a minute or two to deepen the breath by using our own counting of the breath. So I'll cue you in, let's say, 3 to 4, but if your natural breathing in the beginning is less or more, feel free to continue or slow it down. So take a nice full inhalation through the nose, let it out through the mouth. And then the next time that you inhale, count 1 in the belly. Imagine drawing it up through the rib cage for 2, and then into the chest for 3, maybe lifting the chin and throat for 4, and then 4, soften through the chin, chest for 3, 2, rib cage 1, belly. Inhale on your next inhalation. Feel the fullness of the belly. 1, 2, up into the rib cage, expanding all the way. Maybe you feel the shoulder blades and collarbone expand for 3, into the throat. 4. Exhale. 4, throat. 3, chest. 2, rib cage. 1, belly. So you get the idea, but go ahead and go at your own pace so I'm not confusing you or distracting you. Just use that breath. It doesn't matter how much or how little the count is. It's just the idea of expanding, deepening, broadening, and expanding with the inhale and the exhale. And then coming back to your natural breathing rhythm, putting your hands where they are, and then just start to notice the physical sensations. Where you feel your inhalation at this moment, and where you can create some ease with your exhalation of this. And then slowly take your left hand up to your chest. Keep your right hand on your belly. And this time as you breathe, just notice perhaps you're feeling this sensation of the bottom palm drawing towards the pelvis slightly, and your palm on your chest moving up towards the throat. And then as you exhale, feeling the body and the palms come closer together. So it's very subtle, and it may not mean that your actual hands move. It's just that idea of expanding and releasing. Maybe a little slide of the back of the head. You start to feel the head moving just very subtly as you feel that movement of expansion and release. And then take a moment to float the arms out to the sides. Palms are soft. Just inviting whatever it is for you in your practice today. And open whatever you are going to receive. And taking a moment of gratitude. Feel free to take your hands to the heart if you would like to do that. Otherwise, just stay here, take a moment to reflect on something you're grateful for at this very moment. And when you're ready, just gently rock the right knee a little to the right. So maybe it's like 10-20% of your range, especially if you have the block underneath. If you have a blanket or a towel, it might feel a little bit softer to roll side to side, but we're just looking for a tiny little range. You're just looking to see how that feels on the hips. And eventually, maybe just a little as you roll to the left, the knees are wide, so you're sort of stair-stepping them. You can lift that right hip slightly up, like you're just pushing it a little bit up and over to the left, and then switch to the other side. You can do this without even rocking side to side. If you are on the block, maybe you're just lifting one hip and then the other, imagining that you're kind of brushing the lower back a little tiny bit side to side as you're doing this. And adjust as you need to if you feel like you have slid off of your bolster, your block, or your blanket. Good. And then walk the feet a little bit closer. Think more bridge pose here. Flip the palms facing down. Lift the head, bring the chin up slightly, and then lengthen the back of the neck and the head. And then relax the head and relax the fingers. So your feet are about hip-width apart. They're a little closer, and like they would in a bridge pose here. And then just lift the hips, so engage the feet, especially the heels, and then a little bit into the toes. It doesn't have to be super active. And just enough so that you can get your hand underneath your lower back. And then set it back down gently. Feel a big, broad inhale. Even the shoulders start to roll away. Maybe your palms even flip up as you're arching the back slightly. And then exhale gently, letting the lower back sink back into your support. Flip the palms facing down. Inhale, lift the hips. Again, just a tiny bit off of your support. And then inhale, arch. As you arch the back, you might feel the shoulders broaden, and then the palms want to flip over. And then exhale, let the arms start to float back down. Palms are facing down as you float the lower back onto your support. Try that a couple more times. So it's really like a little pelvic tilt with a big expansion through the chest as you inhale, and then as you exhale, just a little pressing, letting the lower back engage with your support. And you're internally by flipping the palms down, and you're externally as you're opening up the chest with the arms and palms and shoulders. Good. Take one more time, and then if you'd like, you can explore taking the legs long. So I would do one at a time, especially if you're on the block, and this may not really be accessible if you're on the block because you're a lot higher, maybe. So just see how that feels. You can relax the legs, but imagine that you're drawing the legs long as your crown of the head is staying, like there's a little string pulling you back so that you get length in your lower back and through the hips as opposed to crunching into the lower back. If that's not comfortable, then just take your constructive rest, letting the knees fall towards each other as the feet relax to either side of the mat. You can also bring your arms bending at the elbows and let them come up closer towards the ears. Rock your head side to side. If you have the legs long, that might be about all you need to do. Is just feel that long stretch. And eventually, whenever you're ready, you can walk the feet all the way back in so that you can connect to the earth for your support underneath you, and then slide that prop out. Before you put your hips back down, though, keep them high. Take your hands on your hips And then imagine that you're hugging in the side, like at the right above the hip bone. Thumb is facing down towards the mat. You have your fingers spread, and your first finger is hooking around, and you're just drawing those hips like you were trying to pull them towards your heels and then lower them down, crown of the head, reaching behind you. So you've just created this little bit of length in the lower back. And then rest your hands on the belly. Take an inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and then draw your right knee in towards your chest. Do a little circle. Maybe keep the circle small for now. Your lower back is wanting to integrate all that we've done. Just with gravity, there can be a lot of nice opening in the lower back and hips. Take the left knee and circle it around gently, one direction and then the other. Kind of rock, let yourself rock a little side to side if that feels good. And eventually bring both knees in towards the chest. You can circle the knees around, maybe just keep it small for now. Or you can hug and squish thighs and front of the shins come squeezing down towards the thighs. So two options, very, very different options. So make your choice based on how you're feeling today. Let your head kind of roll around side to side if you're circling. And then slowly let the feet float back down to the ground. And we're going to move a little side to side in this sort of ragdoll rocking side to side. So make sure that you have space. If you have any furniture or sharper objects around, you might want to get that out of the way. And I think we had somebody else join us. Good morning, Nina. All right, so this is one of my favorite poses to do, and actually it's kind of a mixed movement between yoga and a little Feldenkrais. So, and it's something that I do sometimes in the morning and right before I go to bed. Stick your arms out like a T, your feet are on the floor, your feet are wide. So you have more than hip width between the knees. And first just start with your left arm, bringing it up, elbows bent, and you're just taking that arm side to side. You can close your eyes or you can watch your hand. It's up to you. And all you're doing here is letting that left shoulder blade lift slightly. You're still on that right shoulder blade. Good. And then you're going to start to your knees sway to the right, taking your arm with you. And then just use your momentum to bring you back to the center, but don't go all the way over to the left. We're going to do one side at a time. Kind of work one side. And then start to let your head kind of float with the arm and the body. And you can sway over. I'm going to switch sides so that you can see what I'm doing a little better. So my head is just rocking my arm, and now I'm just going to let my arm relax more. I'm not going to hold it up in the air. And then I'm going to just roll with that momentum. Then, of course, when you come up, you may end up swaying a little to the left, to the opposite side, and that's fine, but just don't go all the way over. Check and make sure that your chin is not tucked in towards your collarbone or your shoulder. Maybe just lift the head away. Notice how that changes the experience in your neck. And you can even, if you're feeling enough momentum to roll onto your forehead, you can do that as well. So I'm trying to keep as much ease as possible. And as I roll over, you can even stay there for a moment if you want and notice how your legs might kind of drift off somewhere. And that's fine, take a breath or two there. So just try this 2 more times on the right. I'm just letting my fingers slide up and down my arm to reach the palm. Back to the center, bring yourself, you might be a little off center here, so just bring yourself back to the middle. Take a breath in through the nose, let it out through the mouth. And see if you notice any subtle differences between one side and the other. And then gently, you're going to lift the other arm. This will be your left side, and I'm going to right side. And then start to just use the arm, just use the arm first, just feeling like you're kind of stretching in between the shoulder blades, right? So if the left one shoulder blade is down and the other is moving in the little opening there. Try not to tug. Check in with your chin, make sure it's not tilting down. You're getting that nice opening. And then you can start to roll side to side. And just let yourself completely ragdoll. As much ease as possible. You don't even have to take the palm, the fingers all the way to the palm. You can let the knees open more. Notice how it feels on your lower back. Let go of that idea that you're doing nothing. That you're just rolling on the floor because it's okay and your body likes it. It's a good thing. All right, so you can kind of stay and just let your body fall into whatever shape it does on this side if you want to. And then we'll go ahead and do both sides. So come back through the center. Feel free to stay on that side if you want to a little bit longer, and then invest where you want. So a couple options is you can take let's start to go over to the left side. So you can take the elbow and arm, and you can slide it like your fingers just slide across your chest, down the arm, and then head over towards that palm, sliding the palm on top of each other. You can then bring the arms across and take the other arm all the way. So we're going to go back and forth on each side. The other option that I like is that you can take your arm above the head, big bend into the elbow, so your shoulders still relax, and then let the elbow bend in front of the face and go side to side this way. Almost like a little fetal position when you're keeping the elbows in front of the face. So I let my fingers drag behind me. That's where I'm going to get this nice feeling on the side as my arms are over the head a little bit more than right in front of my face. So just explore there, just a few more times each side. Trying to, again, keep as light as possible. It doesn't mean that your range will go all the way over as well either, so don't force it. Good. And then we'll meet back in the center. So feel free to bring yourself back into the center here. And then just let yourself be. If you want to take the legs long, you can, or keep the feet on the floor. And imagine it's almost as though you're like a washcloth and we just kind of a little soft ring of any residue and clearing and making way for some more stimulation to the circulation and more space through the mind. And it does take a little practice too, so if it was at all frustrating, just play around with it again later. And I wish I could just say get up and go ahead and roll over and stand up, because when you do that, it's as though you are light as a feather. But I'll let you stay on the ground. We won't do that now. So go ahead and draw the knees towards the chest. Find your way over onto your side. Take a moment there. Remember, the transition is also part of the yoga, so take your time. And then we're going to come over onto our hands and knees. So certainly, if you feel like you want a little extra support underneath your knees, take your towel or your blanket and put it there. You might be on carpeting, and then you have a mat on top of that, and so you feel like it's not necessary. But keep it handy just in case. Also keep your bolster or couch pillow handy as well. And once you come here, come to your hands and knees into our neutral table, and just be in that neutral table. So this is a good, for the reading today, this is a good pose to just bring your awareness. Imagine that this is the first time you've ever done this pose. Maybe you start with your fingers, and you tap the fingers, and you start to roll the flesh down, landing on the mound of the fingers into the palm, and then gently let the thumb and the pinky engage like they're pushing away from each other, and then gently into the wrists, and then shift your weight slightly so that you don't create any wrist pain, and lift the energy up. A little rounding of the pulling the belly in slightly, and then lengthening the neck, and then finding some ease. And breathe for 3. And then start to shift the weight slightly back, stretching into your back, and then forward, and back. And then walk your hands a little bit further in front of you if that's more comfortable for the hands or the wrists. Sometimes being on too much softness, like on carpet and thick sticky mat, it can also, I think, be harder on my wrists than to be on a strong, flat surface. All right, and then come forward, come onto your forearms, and take some circles here with your hips. So of course you're going to get a little smaller range than we typically would if we're up here high. And if you prefer to do it the way we typically do it and take a big range, feel free to do that. But you're feeling a little bit more, like you just want to keep a nice cooling practice. And this feels good, and you have no pressure in the hands or the wrists. Circle in the other direction. You can let the head just drop and shake it no, and yes, and shake out your hair. Create your own intuitive movement here. Just an organic pose. And then slowly slide yourself back up, come back into that neutral table. And we're going to take your right hand, you're going to take it directly out to the side, so the palm is facing down and it's directly beyond the shoulder. And then start to internally rotate the shoulder where you'll feel the palm facing up maybe to the ceiling, and then bend the elbow and just place that palm right on your lower back, maybe right at the sacrum, which is that bony place at the bottom of your spine. And then take your hand, try not to put too much weight on that left hand, so keep the energy lifted. Feel free to do fist or fingertips. And then we're going to cat-cow this way. So as you inhale, it's really nice because you can kind of feel more engaged here into where you feel that tilting. And then so you're inhaling forward. Keep your eye gaze down or just in front of the mat. And then exhale. Inhale to cow and exhale to cat. See if you can let the breath create the movement. Feel the inhalation coming, you open the chest slightly. It's a little bit different range, obviously. One more time. And then slide that hand. If you need to take a break, feel free to shake out your hands. And then we'll come and do it on the other side. So take that left arm out to the side. Start to rotate the shoulder. Bend the elbow, bring the palm facing up to the lower back. And then inhale. It's almost like you can feel a little bit more going on here because it doesn't feel so far away. And then just let the chest rise. And then so it's a little bit smaller range than you might get when you have both hands on the ground. It's okay, just see how that feels. Maybe a little bit more awareness in this pose. Good. And then you can slide that hand, come back down onto your forearms, and then flip the palms up, the forearms up. Bring the elbows so that they're right underneath the shoulders. And then shift back a little bit here, back and forth. Let the head drop. But keep the belly a little engaged so you're not sinking into your hips and you're not disengaging your whole torso. It's a different sensation in the shoulders. It's like you can, as you go forward and back, as you go back, especially, roll the shoulders away from each other so you feel more spacious. You're not going to go back super far with this range in your arms. Good. And then we're going to come back up onto your hands and knees, or you can stay there actually on your forearms if you want
flip the palms facing down, and then walk the knees a little closer, stretch through the leg, keep a big bend in the knee. Maybe the knee even touches the ground. I'll show you on this side. And you just push into the toes a little bit. More energetic, you can straighten the leg and start to feel the hamstring and start to feel the Achilles. And then switch. If you want to do this up on your arms, that's fine too, whichever feels better. Good. And then if you can take you have your toes curled, let's say the right toe, let's see if you can just rotate out into the side of your foot here. The bolster might be in the way. Yeah. And then switch and try it on the other side. It's almost like a little half frog, but you're up in the air here. And then switch to the other side. Just go to the bend the knee, go to the side of the foot, and then switch. Tap the feet, curl the toes, send your hips back. Come forward. You can keep your hands at an angle so you're not worrying about the wrists. And then tap the feet, tops of the feet. Sounds really loud, but it's really not. And then curl the toes, go back. And then I'm going to let you take or encourage you to take either child's pose here or extended child's pose. So this is where your props can come in handy. I'm going to show you extended child's pose to get a little bit into the hips here. So you're going to take your knees a little wider, put some extra support if you want to, come onto your forearms here, and then you can just play around with gliding back and forth, interlocking the hands so you have a lot of support in the front, keeping the shoulders lifted, and just kind of see how that feels. Another little tip is that I will take my thumb and fingers and I just rotate the calf out to the side a little bit. If I'm going to go all the way back. So this is all can be kind of uncomfortable. The squishy part here. So you just roll the flesh out and away so you have a little bit more space. And lots of little options with the props. So taking your bolster or your pillow, setting it right on top of your calves. You can do this in your traditional child's pose too with the knees closer together. And then just come to your forearms, lift your buttocks, and then just kind of glide back. Having that support under there, life-changing. And then you can hang out here or extend down. And maybe just take a minute or two to find a place where you can stay. You can breathe, finding some awareness. Maybe it's just in the breath. And then that will actually create the magic in the pose without anything else. So you can take about 6 more breaths wherever you are. Noticing where you're feeling it. If you're feeling it and it's uncomfortable, then come out a little bit and see what can I change. Maybe even rolling the back of your mat. Rolling it up. This is, if you have a blanket or something, it'd be easier, but you can just, for the tops of your feet, maybe it's the tops of the feet that are not comfortable and therefore everything else is, your awareness goes directly to that place where you're uncomfortable. And then slowly, wherever you are, you sort of peel yourself out. Come up nice and slow, remove any props that you had. Get yourself to the side. And then move props underneath the feet. And then come on up onto your knees for a moment here. Into a different orientation, so just notice, make sure your feet are behind you. You can curl the toes if you're more comfortable with that. And then imagine that you're drawing the energy up through the front of the thighs. So if you imagine you're pressing a little bit into the thighs as you're lifting, you get some more space there. And then bend into the elbows
Externally rotate the shoulders behind you and imagine that the elbows are coming in towards each other. And then you can just take the palms to the sides, or you could perhaps interlock the fingers and lift the chest and the crown of the head at the same time. So a lot of times in classes, in-person classes for years, I just see where, okay, interlock the hands and everybody does this, and then I don't know about you, but I get kind of stuck right here. So when you open up the elbows, take the arms behind you, and you lift the chest, all of a sudden you have a lot more space here. And even if you're interlocking to draw the arms, fingers together. All right, so let's just take a little flow here. So inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, let the hands float down. Inhale, let the arms come up. This time, flip the palms so that they're facing forward. And then you're going to exhale, send the hips back. You can either round and curl here or keep the back flat. Fingertips just dust the earth, and then inhale and reach back up. And continue, say like 4 times, and go with your own breathing pattern. Big full inhalation. You can even try closing your eyes. Makes it a little bit more interesting. Inhale fully as you rise. Exhale all the way down to wherever it is you want to go. You can go all the way back onto your hips if you'd like. It'll be a little bit more tricky when you close your eyes. Just be careful. You just take your own flow here. And then once you've done your 4, open up the arms over the top of the head. Create this big, big circle. And then let the arms float down to the sides. And then if you'd like, you can bend, opening up the palms, or taking your hands in Anjali Mudra, and then just close your eyes and be there with your awareness at this moment. Slowly open the eyes, let the arms come to the sides if they're not there already. And then we're going to come up to standing. So maybe bringing that front foot forward, or whichever foot is more comfortable. You can curl the back toes. And if you take both hands on top of each other to the thigh, press down as you push into the back of your toes. That can be a nice way of getting up. And then just take your time. Find this new orientation. I'm going to flip my screen a little bit, but kind of move around, maybe take a casual Tadasana pose. And there we go. Right. So intuitively, once you get there, whatever feels good. All right, and then we'll all meet in Tadasana pose. And up to you if, again, you want to you need to tap into your inner strength and feel very, very strong, or if you're feeling like, yeah, I'm feeling this Tadasana pose, but I'd have a lesser strength in your mountain pose. A little bit more casual with the fingers, not necessarily with the feet. Keep rising up and rooting down. And we're going to move from our mountain pose into our tree pose. So maybe think of this idea, whatever species of tree that you choose, think about how it feels when you're under a tree. And you feel, especially on a day like this, you feel this nice shade, and maybe there's a nice breeze. So first, let's start with bringing the right leg up. So just feeling that nice, and like I said, if you're on carpeting, like I am on carpet here in a squishy mat, and it changes the sensation of the balance altogether. So just this little lift maybe of the knee, the right knee, maybe rotate out slightly. Start with the toes curled and the ankle resting right into your arch of your foot. If it's in your practice to move the foot up to the calf or even up into the thigh, feel free to go wherever it is that works for you. And maybe today given it, like I said, I don't know how much balance that you've been working on in other classes or on your own, but maybe even using the wall today, right? So we don't want to fire up too much of our fierce energy. We want to kind of keep it cool. So feel free to use a wall. I'm pretending I have a wall here. Think about lifting the chin slightly, feeling that nice rising up as you feel that rooting down and strength into that left leg. One more big breath in, exhale, let it out, and go ahead and release the foot. Maybe walk the foot out a little bit. If you're on a mat, you might look down and see if you can see your footprint. And then start to shift the weight onto the right leg. Do any movement that you need. Coming back into that awareness of your mountain pose, pulling up the energy through the legs, rooting down to the right, bending into the left knee, curling the toes, and then maybe drawing that knee out to the side slightly, finding a place where you can rest the foot. You just don't want to push on the ankle or push on the knee. So if you're almost above the knee, it's better to stay here than it is to kind of almost be there on the thigh. And also, it's hard to keep this hip from going out slightly. So make sure that you choose and keep working on pushing the foot and the calf or the thigh into each other if you're in that place. And like I said, it's so different when you have carpeting underneath, so have fun with it. Again, this could be a different species of tree. One side is a little different than the other. What does your tree look like? Are you feeling the branches sway? Use that drishti somewhere right in front of you. And maybe give yourself a smile, lift the corners of the mouth. Ah, you're at yoga, in your own home. You didn't have to drive anywhere. And then exhale and release. And maybe bend the knees and just circle the knees around gently. One direction and then the other direction. Come back up. Take a big breath in. Let the arms rise. They can be soft or more energetic, up to you. And as you fold forward, I'm just going to recommend you can take whatever forward fold feels best, but taking your hands to the thighs, taking your hands, sliding them down wherever comfortable. Drop the head. And then maybe belly comes to the thighs here. Big bend in the knees. Use your hands to the back of your legs as you peel yourself up. Push into the legs and use your inhale to bring you up so that you don't get dizzy. Inhale, rise. Feet can be hip width apart. Exhale, bring the arms down to the thighs. Slide the hands down. Stay at a flat back if you have osteoporosis or osteoarthritis. Belly and thighs might connect, or drop your head and round if that works for you. And then exhale, slide the hands up slowly. Take a couple more at your own pace. I'm going to be quiet so that you can inhale and exhale and get into your own zone. Good, and then once you come down, if you want to, widen your feet a little bit more. And keep a big bend into the knees. Maybe just let your arms relax, your head hang. Kind of sway a little side to side. All the way up, like you're just, stay as long as you want to down there. And then just kind of sway side to side as you come up, like you're peeling yourself up. Arms are like branches, floating your hands to the sides. And then walk your feet back in towards each other. We'll come back onto the ground. Take your time getting there. And let's come on to, let's come onto your back. And we'll take a couple flowing bridge poses. If there's something else that you would prefer to do, we have about a little over 10 minutes. So if you want to skip the bridge part and do something else within your own practice, just there's no right or wrong, there's just safe, so be careful.
And then inhale, lift the arms up over the top of the head. So in your bridge pose, your feet are about hip width apart. You feel like your heels are in close enough so that you can use the heel and the toes to lift the hips. Just get yourself situated here. Arms up over the top of the head as you reach. You might feel the ears coming in towards the arms coming in towards the ears. Maybe you just pull the shoulders away a little bit and soften the elbows when you rise. All right, and then take the hands down to the sides. Inhale the arms up, the hips are down, we haven't lifted them yet. Just notice how the body moves as you move the arms for now. Keep the fingertips light. Next time that you float the hands down to the sides, press into the feet again, heels and all the way into the toes. Let your feet help support you and lift slightly into the hips. And then lowering down either with a flat back, if you have osteoarthritis or osteoporosis, or you can articulate the spine down as you lower. Give yourself a little relax there, let that little arch in the back happen naturally. And then we'll put it all together after this last time. The arms are to the sides, slide the fingers slightly forward, and then start to inhale. Palms stay up towards the sky. As you lift the hips, arms touch the back perhaps, and then exhale. Your exhalation full time is letting the fingers, the arms, and the lower back relax. Inhale. You can be more energetic if you want to give some more lift into the hips. You're going to start to feel the chin come towards the chest, so slide the head perhaps away towards the back if you feel that. And use your whole exhalation to lift. Just 2 more times. And exhale. And release, arms come down, widen the feet a little bit wider towards the outer edges of the mat. Let the knees fall towards one another. Open your arms up to a T and just let your head float a little side to side. So not necessarily taking your eye gaze over towards the hand, just let your neck, that place in the back of your head on the skull, where you feel just a nice little massage. And then you can start to kind of slide as your head sways to the left, maybe just a tiny little reach with the shoulder to the right, and then switch. Tiny little reach. Think about the shoulder, the whole arm, not just the fingers. My fingers are completely relaxed. I'm not using my fingers to pull. I'm just letting my shoulder glide side to side, first away from me. Once you've done both sides, start to draw the knees in towards the chest. You can circle the knees or hold in front of behind the thighs or in front of the shins. Give them a squeeze down, not necessarily in rounding, but down, so that the calves and the back of the thighs connect. And then float the legs up. Bend a lot into the knees and use your hands, maybe just give a little circulation to your left leg, and then switch over to the right leg. Maybe a little bit more gentle than we usually do in the beginning, because we don't need to fire up the circulation. You've kind of already done that through your practice, but just a little softness. And then moving into your happy baby pose. Take your hands behind the thighs. See? And let your feet float up towards the ceiling. And you can make it super soft. Let yourself float both side to side, or you can be more energetic. Hold in front of the shins, flex the feet. Just make sure that your lower back is comfortable. Too much draw the knees in, you're going to be just rolling on your spine. Not so comfortable. Let your back, fleshy part. And then slowly float the legs down. Walk your left leg long. Let your right leg come long. Starting to find your way into your Shavasana pose, your final restoration. And feel free to take legs up the wall, or you can use a bolster underneath of your knees. I actually have this ottoman here that I brought close by so that you can see floating your legs onto a support couch would be great. Just come close to the side and then slowly bring your legs up as you are on your elbows, come down, and just find your way. Oh, it's very lovely. Maybe you like to be completely flat, it's up to you. Bring your hands to your belly first and actually to the base of your rib cage for a moment. You inhale. Feel that expansion. Imagine that you're letting go of that fiery sensation within you. You're letting the breath move from the bottom of the rib cage all the way down to the feet, creating a cooling sensation for the body. Imagine there's this cooling breath, bottom of your rib cage floating down all the way to the legs and into the take the arms to the sides, relax the fingers. Let your cheeks relax. Soften the brow. Remember that your Shavasana is also a balancing pose. Just unfurling. Letting the subtle body find places within you to store all of that new energy and circulation, breath. You can tap into that when you need it in the future. Let the space within you open and unfurl and go in your final resting pose.
slowly start to bring your awareness back. Keep your eyes closed, but just give yourself some movement, maybe in the fingers or the toes. Take a breath in, either reach the arms up over the top of the head if you can stretch, or bring the knees towards the chest and find your way over onto one side. Staying there, take 3 or 4 breaths there. In a moment of gratitude, if you wish. Whenever we give our full attention, we are practicing. Yoga is not a small practice. It can become as big as you wish. Today, bring your full attention to whatever it is that you're doing, and you will be living your yoga. Slowly making your way to a comfortable seat. Take your time. Whenever you're ready, use your inhale to rise your arms up. Take your eye gaze up towards your palms and just draw the hands down, thumbs to the sternum. Tip your chin, acknowledge your own heart space. Thank you all so much for coming and sharing all your smiles and your great energy and your inspirational practice, your own practice. Let your light shine brightly today and every day. Namaste. Thank you. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to say hi to your